Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're tackling a super common, yet honestly a pretty high-stakes financial crossroads. We call it the 50 Lakh dilemma. Picture this, you've got two 30-year-old friends and they both have 50 Lakh rupees ready to invest. I mean, it's a great problem to have, right? But it comes with a major decision. We're looking at a showdown between two absolute heavyweights of the investing world, the National Pension System, or NPS, and mutual funds. So which path is actually the right one? Well, let's find out. Okay, so this brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Who actually creates more wealth after 30 years? Now, 3 decades, that is a massive timeline in the world of compounding. Over 30 years, the decisions you make literally today about where to park your money, they're going to completely alter the trajectory of your financial life. We're talking about the difference between, just scraping by in your later years versus having true financial freedom. Who pays less tax? Who gets more flexibility? And ultimately, which of these two friends is going to come out on top when they finally blow out the candles on their 60th birthday? Okay, let's dive into this. Take Rahul, for example. Rahul is playing a very specific game. He decides he's going to invest his entire 50 lakh rupees straight into the NPS. Then we have his buddy Amit. Amit takes a totally different route, pouring his 50 lakh into mutual funds. Now remember, both guys are 30 years old, both are starting with the exact same amount of capital. But their philosophies on how to handle that wealth, they're fundamentally opposed. So to really understand who makes the better choice here, we first need to get a clear picture of the vehicles they're driving. Let's start with Rahul's choice. Think of the NPS like a giant retirement locker. You're putting your money into this heavy-duty, secure locker today with one primary overarching goal, building up wealth for the days when you are officially done working. Inside this locker, your money isn't just gathering dust. It's dynamically invested in a mix of things like equity, corporate bonds, government securities, and other eligible assets, all based on the allocation you choose. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that word locker. It is strictly designed for retirement. And the rules? Well, they reflect that. They keep your funds heavily restricted until you actually hit retirement age. Now, let's look at Amit's choice. Instead of a single, heavy-duty retirement locker, mutual funds operate a lot more like, different boxes. You aren't just saving for one massive event decades down the road, you're saving for life as it actually happens. You can have one box for your child's education, another for a house down payment, maybe one for a dream vacation. Though, let's be honest, the house down payment usually ends up eating the vacation box, right? The point is, you get to choose your investments based on highly specific financial goals, your own personal risk appetite, and your unique time horizon. It's just a much more modular approach to building wealth. So let's fast forward a bit. Both invest their 50 lakh rupees. Now, just for the sake of this illustration, let's assume they both earn the exact same average annual return over the long term. Because both NPS and mutual funds are exposed to market-linked investments, their raw investment growth, before we even look at taxes and withdrawal rules, it could actually look broadly similar. If they both capture the same market growth over 30 years, the final pile of money in a vacuum looks pretty much identical. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it forces a bit of a paradigm shift. If the returns are broadly similar, why does it even matter which one you pick? Well, because the real difference isn't the returns, it's the features. It's the actual day-to-day mechanics of how these two investment vehicles operate in the real world. When real life happens. Choosing an investment based solely on the highest expected return is a classic trap. You absolutely have to look under the hood at what the investment actually allows you to do with your own money. So let's test those features with a highly realistic scenario. Let's say 10 years have passed. Both Rahul and Amit are now 40 years old. Their 50 lakhs have grown beautifully. But suddenly, Rahul's daughter needs funding for higher education, and he needs 20 lakh rupees to cover it. He's got the money on paper, his investments have done really well, but can he actually use it? This is exactly where the rubber meets the road. Here's exactly what happens next. Rahul has a bit of a problem. NPS has strict withdrawal rules that are fundamentally tied to retirement. Because his money is sitting inside that retirement locker, he can't just reach in and pull out 20 lakh for college tuition without navigating some pretty restrictive rules. Amit, however, has a completely different experience. Because Amit used open-ended mutual funds, remember those different boxes, he has flexibility. Subject to the scheme terms, some exit loads, and taxes, Amit can just redeem his units to meet the specific financial goal. Basically, he has liquidity when life demands it. But wait, what about taxes, right? The NPS is super famous for its tax benefits. Eligible contributions can qualify for very attractive tax deductions under the Income Tax Act. obviously subject to prevailing laws. It's a massive draw for people like Rahul. Mutual funds, on the flip side, have tax rules that vary wildly depending on the specific type of fund you choose. But here is a critical warning from our source. Investing solely for tax savings is a major mistake. Sure, it feels really good in April, but a smart investment must fit your overall long-term financial plan, not just magically lower your tax bill today. Let's move to and see how this builds when we introduce an emergency scenario. Because let's face it, things don't always go according to plan. Imagine a sudden family emergency, a medical crisis, or maybe a sudden loss of income. You absolutely need cash, and you need it right now. Which of these two options gives you easier access? The answer, practically speaking, is the open-ended mutual fund. It generally offers much greater liquidity. You can usually redeem your units and get cash in your bank in a few days. The NPS, by design, locks that money away to protect your future self, which means, unfortunately, it can't always help your present self in a bind. Liquidity is really the single biggest practical difference between the two. And this brilliantly illustrates the real truth of the 50 Lakh dilemma. Guys, this is not a battle. It's a partnership. We set this whole thing up as Rahul versus Amit, NPS versus mutual funds. But the most successful investors out there, they don't pledge allegiance to just one vehicle. They recognize that NPS is an absolute powerhouse for building a retirement corpus with great tax perks, while mutual funds are virtually unmatched for flexibility and hitting multiple, changing life goals. The secret isn't picking the winner. The secret is using both. So the crucial point is what we call goal-based investing. It's where you assign specific financial tools to specific life events. For your core retirement, that goes straight into the NPS locker. For your children's education, you build that up in a mutual fund box. Saving for a house down payment, that's another mutual fund. And for that sudden family emergency, you keep a liquid mutual fund or something similar right at the ready. You literally just let each financial product do exactly what it was designed to do best. Let's quickly recap this feature face-off. The core focus of NPS is strictly retirement, while mutual funds are all about being goal-based. Liquidity for NPS is restricted to protect your future, whereas open-ended mutual funds offer much greater liquidity for your needs today. And on taxation, NPS offers structured deductions, while mutual funds vary by the specific fund type. Remember, the better investment is simply the one that currently matches your specific financial objective, not necessarily the one with the highest expected theoretical return. Now, before we wrap up, it is absolutely essential to ground this in reality. All of these investments, both mutual funds and the NPS, are subject to market-linked risks. The examples we've chatted about today are purely illustrative. Tax laws change, withdrawal rules get updated by regulators, and as we all know, markets fluctuate. This explainer is strictly for educational purposes, to help you understand the mechanics of these tools. Always, always base your investment decisions on your own personal risk tolerance, your unique time horizon, and hey, definitely consult a qualified financial advisor or tax professional before pulling the trigger on a 50 lakh investment. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Does your portfolio actually match your life goals? I want you to take a hard look at your own setup. Are you locking away money you might desperately need tomorrow? Or, on the flip side, are you too exposed for the day you finally want to stop working? Because true wealth is having the right money available at the exact right time. So, what is your money currently preparing for? Thank you so much for joining me today, and I highly encourage you to dig a little deeper into goal-based investing.